We're up.
Cool. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the 3rd and 20 Dynasty Podcast. We are on Season 2, Episode 6. I'm JT, joined by Jake, Frank, and Lounis. And guys, Week 1 is in the books. Everyone, let's get a little clap it up. Frank, Lounis, let's clap it up. Clap it up. Jake, why are you clapping? You lost. In our 3rd and 20 Dynasty League, Jake lost. In our home league, Jake lost. Jake's just the loser. So if you want good advice, you can just mute Jake for the rest of the episode.
I scored more than you in both leagues. Just saying. In both leagues, I scored
Jake is
more than
0-1, and I'm 1-0. All right, moving on. We got a lot of good segments.
Jake scored 200 at lost.
Lost to Lounis. So we got the biggest winner and biggest loser. Can you let me get in my segment? Let the winners talk, right? We'll let the winners talk. So we got biggest winner and biggest loser of the week. We got injury news, panic meter, beta great, and we're going to wrap it up with trending up and trending down from our Week 1. And I'm sure we're all definitely going to have very tame, non-overreaction opinions. But to start, we'll kick it off with our biggest winner. Amari Cooper went off against the Buccaneers, a defense that would probably – many have thought would be great this season, especially they returned all 11 starters on the defensive side of the ball. Dak was coming back from 2 ankle surgeries, a shoulder injury that he was battling with. CeeDee Lamb was also still there. But Amari Cooper, still, I think he was the top wide receiver fantasy-wise, if not definitely one of the top ones. He gets the biggest winner award if anyone else would like to chime in on what they think about Amari Cooper for the rest of the year.
I really like him for the rest of the year. So the thing is with him, first off, people were saying like, CeeDee Lamb, including me, thought CeeDee Lamb is going to overtake the 1 spot eventually. The thing is though, with that passing offense and how many times Dak throws the ball, and especially with their defense where other teams are going to score a lot of points on them, so they're going to be throwing the ball a ton. Like there's enough for CD and Amari Cooper to both go off, and Amari Cooper looked awesome that first game, and especially combine that with Gallup's going to miss some weeks with an injury. I thought he looked pretty good in that first half, but now he's going to be out for about a quarter of the season. And Dak under McCarthy has had like a crazy amount of throw attempts every game he's played. Like he had 58 attempts this Week 1 game. The 4 games they played together last year, Dak had another 58 attempts, 57 attempts, 47 attempts, 39 attempts. Like that offense, Dak's going to be throwing the ball a shit ton. And that's what makes him a good fantasy quarterback, though. It also helps Amari Cooper a bunch, too, especially if he can stay healthy.
Yeah. You're going to say something, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, Amari Cooper looked absolutely great, and I think part of the reason why he was the biggest winner to us of this week is just because coming into the season, there were a lot of question marks on him. A lot of other players, Waller, Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, all those guys balled out, but everyone kind of expected that. There was no questions around them. But Amari Cooper had a lot of questions, whether it was, CD beating him out as the wide receiver 1, Dak coming back off a big injury. The offensive line was not healthy last year. How are they going to look this year? There was a lot of questions around Amari Cooper, and he just came out and balled out, which is really why he was our pod's big winner of the week.
Yeah, well, with that, let's move into the biggest loser of the week. And we got I'm not going to make us clap it up again, but these guys really take the cake. The 49ers beat reporters. They win our biggest loser of the week because we were told Trey Sermon's the 1B to Mostert's 1A. He's going to, steal the draft. Aiyuk's been lighting up camp. He's the clear-cut wide receiver 1 on this team. All this fun stuff from all the 49ers beat reporters. What we get Trey Sermon as a healthy scratch, a full dose of Elijah Mitchell running the ball, Andrew Michael Hasty. And we get Aiyuk getting benched for the first quarter and then running like 7 routes. Like that's 0 points from Brandon.
I got the article up right now.
Okay.
From 49ers yesterday, July 30th, 2021.
Verified account.
49ers website. This is hashtag 49ers. This isn't even saying this isn't saying it. Hashtag 49ers receiver this is a weird sentence, feels Brandon Aiyuk is on the cusp of being unguardable. unguardable. Yeah, he was unguardable. He didn't play.
They guard him from the bench.
Yeah, the opposing corners are not allowed on your sideline, so he was safe. Just like, I mean, we know we're gonna get some of this every year, but like I just didn't imagine it to this extent, right? Like Keyshawn Vaughn, someone that we could have seen like kind of coming, like if you looked into the details. There's other Justice Hill, Darwin Thompson. If you look like closely at these guys, like you could have seen it coming, but they were rookies, right? So that's where I almost understand Trey Sermon. But Brandon Aiyuk went off last year. Brandon Aiyuk was very good last year. He was one of the top 5 most productive wide receivers last year. And we get Trent Sherfield replacing him. I think that's who his name is. I don't even know if that's the right name. Yeah.
We can, I mean, let's just hold on. Before we get into Aiyuk and Sermon, I just want to say a big old screw you to the 49ers beat report. Screw you guys, man.
They get paid to do that too. They get paid to put out that, and look at this. They were so wrong.
Aiyuk was one of the most hyped up young receivers this offseason. He was like, people were saying, like, people were comparing like T. Higgins or Aiyuk, Claypool or Aiyuk. Like that was a debate. He's considered in that tier with those guys and had like a big price. He was getting drafted early and he just didn't play. I don't know. I don't know what to. We're going to get more into the 49ers.
Things that we no longer trust on the Dynasty podcast. And the very first is the 49ers beat reporters.
Yeah. Number two is R- Dynasty.
Bang. 49ers beat reporters. Number 1, can't trust people in fantasy football right now.
I was talking in the beginning of the season about the Ravens and the Jets. I thought those were the 2 biggest beat reporters that were like the most sensationalist. But
Eagles too.
Eagles are out there. 49ers just take the cake right now though, because what was that?
Quez Watkins had a better day than Aiyuk.
Most people did.
Brian Edwards.
Wait, do we want to just go to panic meter because we're already talking about?
We should
transition now.
Yeah, we could circle back to injury news.
Let's talk about these Niners guys. Sermon and Aiyuk.
So the panic meter. We were just talking about Aiyuk. Sorry, we were talking about Aiyuk. Let's just continue on Aiyuk. There was like one random beat reporter who was like, "Yeah, Trey Lance really likes Trent Sherfield. Like, look for him when Trey Lance starts." But Trey Lance wasn't starting, and Sherfield was still getting more routes. I don't know who saw this coming other than this one random guy who I'm not even sure was fully convinced saw it coming. I don't understand. Lounis was making the comparison before the podcast started about how this could be a Dante Pettis situation. But I think even with Dante Pettis, we didn't see Brandon Aiyuk numbers. Like, we didn't see Dante Pettis go off like Brandon Aiyuk did. And then all the hype going into this season with Brandon Aiyuk. I don't know. I feel kind of blindsided. What about you guys?
They had similar draft capital, right? So shout out to the chat. 49ers beat reporters out here getting their degrees from Devry Online University.
DeVry.
They also went to Bishop Sycamore High School.
Bishop Sycamore, yeah. So the Pettis situation, Pettis was a 2nd-round receiver, right?
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
He was.
Pettis' tape was not great though, dude. Pettis, there were so many things that you just aggravated you about Pettis, you know? I think a big example that probably ticked off Shanahan was the ones where, he would think about going in for a catch and then he'd see a defender coming, and instead of being the type of guy to put his body on the line and just make the catch, which you have to do in the NFL, he would shy away at times and stuff like that, right? And that's what dude, Aiyuk was a monster last year. He was insane.
Yeah, I don't. If you guys had to say, who are you guys more worried about between Sermon and Aiyuk? I think for me, Aiyuk a little bit because Sermon. I know Aiyuk is the more talented player at his position. I think, and I guess talent, but I do really still think Sermon's talented. Mostert's out for the year now. Sermon will be active next week. And we've seen the 49ers just go with a hot hand. And I just think Sermon, when he gets the chance, is going to look pretty good. And he'll be able to get his touches back. Like, dude, we're saying this now. JaMychal Hasty will probably have 100 yards rushing next week. Who the fuck knows? But
so
I like. Oh, you go, Jake. You go.
I don't know. To me, we've seen Aiyuk do it. We've seen him be a productive NFL caliber wide receiver. We've not seen Sermon do anything outside of preseason football. And on top of that, Shanahan is just one of these guys that doesn't care about draft capital, doesn't care about contracts. He's going to ride the hot hand at running back and at wide receiver. And both of these guys kind of scare me, but I think Sermon more just because, they have depth at running back, whether it's Elijah Mitchell or it's JaMychal Hasty. I don't think Shanahan necessarily cares who's running the ball as long as they're being productive. He's not going to care about Trey Sermon's late third-round draft capital that they put into him. It's not that big a deal to him.
All right, so are you panicked, though?
So I think on a scale of 1 to 10, on Sermon, I'm probably at like a 6. I think I'm pretty, not like 10, not like smashing accept on any offer I get, but like I'm concerned. In terms of Aiyuk, I'm probably at like a 4, just because like I've seen him do it before, and I'm less concerned that he can do it again.
I think I'm a 3 on both. I think we're in an overreaction zone right now. It's not encouraging that Trent Sherfield was going out there and Elijah Mitchell.
Shanahan saying it was an easy decision.
Yeah, this is tinfoil hat JT here, but like they're playing the Lions. Like, no much you're gonna show of your team against the Lions. I get it's the NFL and you're supposed to be competitive every game, but like, did we think the Lions were ever beating the 49ers? I don't know.
They kind of scared them at the end.
It took like a monumental collapse on the 49ers side to
Shanahan
lose.
Did say like, okay, we started kind of letting up on them, coaches included, trying to play some young guys. Like, it's not at all impossible for if that game goes to OT or something. Now there is the news that Aiyuk might have been dealing with an injury or something, but let's say no injury. Who knows what happens if that game goes to OT or something, whether or not he sees the field or if Shanahan actually sticks to his guns. I think, JT, there's some merit there.
Thank you.
The other thing I just want to touch on these two guys real quick is, do you think it's possible that you broke a team rule of some kind and that they were just being punished for the game?
I think it's possible.
Nah, that would have came out.
Because
I don't know, dude. I don't think it's impossible. Here's the one reason why. Hold on, there's one reason why. Is that Kyle Shanahan said it was an easy decision. To me, what that feels like is he's in the media openly challenging those players because he said, they're not professional enough. Clearly, there's something going on, at least to me. And I'm thinking he's trying to take like an actual shot at them, saying like, dude, kind of what Jake was saying earlier, right? We don't care about your draft capital. We don't care about what you did last year, what school you came from. Like, this is our organization's, this is the way we're doing things. And I'm going to openly criticize you as a warning. It's like a kick in the ass. Like, dude, you got to get it going. I'm not going to play you, and I'm going to openly criticize you.
Yeah.
I think that's more believable. Like, they're dogging it in practice maybe or something. But
what it kind of reminded me of, real quick? It kind of reminded me of, and we probably won't know the reason why they didn't play much this week one, if there is a side one. Do you remember when Malcolm Butler got benched for the Super Bowl and no one really understood why? And no one really found out why. People assumed it was kind of something off the field. I wonder if it's something like that. It's hard to figure out.
Yeah, I don't know. But around the room, what's your guys' panic on these guys?
Aiyuk 5, Sermon 4.
3 on both.
I'm not going to say I'm not concerned, but I'm not selling either of these players right now.
I'm not necessarily
for upside.
I'm not saying that either, but I'm just saying like it is quite concerning.
The thing is that I am not fielding offers. I'm pulling the classic, like when you screw up on social media, it's like we're or whatever, right? Like in the press conference, we're not taking any questions. That's what I'm saying to league mates if I'm getting offers for these dudes.
We're on to Philadelphia.
Waiting it out. I'm waiting it. Yeah, we're on to Philadelphia. We're waiting it out.
If this happens again next week, I'm a lot more concerned. If this happens for a second week in a row.
All right. Next in our panic meter line is the entire Tennessee Titans offense. We had, first off, Chandler Jones was just feasting on Taylor Lewan in the Titans offensive line. Derrick Henry couldn't really get going. Julio Jones was getting criticized by his coach for the penalty that he drew, and then also was just not present on the field. Like, we just didn't really see much action from Julio. AJ Brown, like, semi-salvaged his game. Yeah. He semi-salvaged his game, getting a touchdown. Not great. Just not a great opening performance by the Tennessee Titans. Jake, what's your panic level on this team? Are you panicked about anyone specifically?
No, I'm all these guys I'm pretty not panicked about. I think this was just a rough game for them against a team that came out and just played better than them. They just look not ready for week one, and I think Vrabel's gonna kick them into shape this week in practice, and they're gonna come back and play well next week. I think Julio and Tannehill looked completely on separate pages. They were not prepared to play together. They just looked like they had never run routes together. Like, they were just so far on different pages. AJ Brown, like we said, salvaged his day a little bit, but when you're that far behind and you have Derrick Henry as your running back, it's not going to be a good day for him. So overall, I think this was just a flush it and move on game for the Titans, and not that panicked.
Yeah, this was. Go ahead, JT.
I'll chime in and say, like, Derrick Henry, while I don't really love Derrick Henry anymore in Dynasty, like, I think this is, like, kind of what you see from Derrick Henry at times. Like, last year, he had these kind of games like 3 or 4 times last year. That's literally like 25% or more of your, just season. But even before that, in his early years, like, this was kind of the norm. Like, he'd just get like 10, 15 carries, not really do a whole lot with them. Like, that's what we saw. Like, we're just waiting for Derrick Henry to ramp up to speed. I forget who says it, but there's quotes about Derrick Henry where it's like, you just wait until that cold weather and, you're 10 weeks into practicing and getting hit. You're not going to want to go and wrap up Derrick Henry. Like,
it's all fun and games hitting Derrick Henry week one when you're all fresh and you're all healthy and it all feels good to get a hit on someone. Come around and it's cold and you're all tired and beat up, and as the season goes on, you don't want to tackle that guy.
Well, the other thing, too, and this is especially true with Derrick Henry and the Titans offense in general, just because they really do play through the run, is that one of the most predictive stats predictive measures, whatever you want to call it, for rushing output is the defense you're going against. And we saw the Cardinals really invest into their front seven, picking up J.J. Watt, and then drafting that linebacker that I really like out of Tulsa. What's his name? Zaven Collins. There it is.
Yeah,
Zaven Collins, I think, is a stud, by the way. He had a great game, like great rookie showing. You're not going to play against a front seven like that every week that has just all-pro level players, at least in my opinion. You got two with Tanner Jones and J.J. Watt on the offensive line, or defensive line. And you got a whole slew of other dudes.
Buda Baker on the back end. Yeah.
He gets the Jaguars another 2 times. Dude, like, you're going to have your feast days.
But where this goes, though, is, right, you just said about the run, but where their passing attack comes from is mostly play action plays. Like, they almost ran play action like 50% of the time last year. That's where you get your big touchdown plays that are like 35 yards to AJ Brown. I mean, we haven't seen what Julio can do yet in this offense, but it's going to come. Again, my panic meter for the Titans is like a 2, like maybe a 1.
We've seen this out of the Titans before.
We've seen weird games. The only thing I will say that the only thing I will say that I'm kind of weirded out about, they lost some coaches during the offseason.
But they have fake Sean McVay. It's going to be fine.
They lost their OC, even though their OC's debut as a head coach was a shit show. That landed
not great.
Lounis, what if I told you there was a copy of Sean McVay? You made it. You took the slider bar on how Irish he was, and you just kind of like moved it up a little bit because he looks pretty. I don't even know if he is or not. and you just plopped him right there for the
Right,
Titans.
yes. No,
Dude, you put some shades on him. Identical.
I'm just gonna say, like, and didn't they lose their defensive coordinator too? I'm not 100% sure. I've got to double check that.
I
know they did lose their OC. There are instances where losing an OC will have a big impact on the offense. I know personally, just because my favorite team's the Eagles, I saw what happened when we lost our OC post Super Bowl. But so I'm not on the big on panic meter yet. Maybe the two, just because what JT brought up, they play two of the worst defenses in the NFL twice a year.
That's Frank, but I'll take credit.
Oh, that was Frank. Okay, yeah. That alone, like those games, your players are gonna feast. So I'm not too far yet. Like Frank said, they have these kind of weird games every year. So I'm just gonna wait and see for now.
All right, going from the Titans though, let's move on to the Packers. That was just we thought the Titans were bad. The Packers put up 3 points.
This was like the weirdest. There were so many weird games week one.
It's the same thing though. They played like the Saints that secondary is disgusting.
Saints have very good.
We know that the Aaron Rodgers and the Packers aren't going to get shut down. We saw it against the Bucs last year. Like
I was about to say,
panic meter 0.
But I agree. Mine might be like a 1 or a 2. But like there were a few plays where I was like, what the heck is Aaron Rodgers doing here? Like, why is Aaron Rodgers doing this? I don't understand. That's stuff that I had never seen.
The concern I have with the Packers is exactly what you brought up, JT. It's like things you've never seen from Aaron Rodgers. And I question, I know he's upset. There's no questions about it. He is out after this year, at least in Green Bay. I don't know if he's just kind of like just going through the motions because he just doesn't want to be there anymore.
Dude, no shot. He's not.
I know he doesn't
want to
be there after this year, but yeah.
Dude, they're just down in the game. Nothing's happening. He's like, he tries to make a big play, doesn't see a safety. Like, it happens, man. Even to Aaron Rodgers. He's going to come out next week and be a beast, dude.
I was going to say, I feel bad.
Who do they play next week?
I feel bad for the Lions. They play Detroit.
Oh, Lions.
Oh.
It's a week one game. Like, if you're going to pick a game to have a crap performance, make it week 1. It at least gives you some film to watch for things to improve upon.
Yeah, I expect everyone, like the big 3 Green Bay, to have monster performances next week.
This next one is interesting, though.
Yeah. Saquon Barkley for the Giants.
Yeah.
There was like all off season. It was will he, won't he, like suit up for game 1? Then finally they're being coy about, but they're like, yeah, he's going to play. And my issue is not with Saquon. I think I'm going to lead us off. Sorry, guys. But I think Saquon Barkley, my panic meter on Saquon is still like, I'm going to move it up a little bit. But like similar to Sermon, I'll put like a notch below at a 2. If Sermon's a 3, Saquon's a 2 for me. Mm-hmm. My panic issue is just the Giants offense as a whole. And I'm just going to torch them right now, Jake. I'm sorry. I don't know if this is what you want to hear or not want to hear. But
please, it'll make me feel better that somebody else sees what I see every week.
It's what he needs to hear.
Daniel Jones has not been a good quarterback like ever for this team. All right, he has
Justin Fields fell in our lap. Justin Fields fell in our lap,
and you traded
we
back.
Said, we don't want that guy.
Yeah. You traded back to get Kadarius Toney, who then Urban Meyer cried about and was like, I want that guy. So at 2 birds, 1 stone. Giants, Jaguars, terrible organizations. Because what are we doing? You have a quarterback on the board. Your team is like very good, right? Your team is, the defense is pretty solid. Like you were almost a playoff team. It was like you just needed Lounis's Eels not to just blow the game against Washington and do whatever they did, and you're in the playoffs. Like you held in against the eventual Super Bowl champions in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You brought in some decent weapons in Kenny Golladay. Not that I'm like the biggest Kenny Golladay guy, but like he's good. You still have Saquon there. Your receivers are pretty good. Your offensive line, leaves a lot to be desired.
Honestly, the O-line Sunday wasn't bad.
Andrew Thomas actually graded out pretty well at left tackle. Like they weren't bad.
They were suitable, right? All you needed was a quarterback that just doesn't fumble or throw picks and that can actually like put it in his receiver's hands. And instead you move back for Kadarius Toney. And I will continue my Kadarius Toney hate, but I think Giants fans are slowly going to creep up there and be above me in hating Kadarius Toney because he's costing you guys playoffs.
Don't put Tony isn't the reason they're not making the playoffs. Don't put this on Tony.
The picking of Tony ahead of Fields and Mac Jones is what's causing you guys.
Okay, listen, I'm the biggest Tony fan there is. In no world am I picking him ahead of instead of Justin Fields. Like
that's what you did. You moved down. You said I don't want Justin Fields. I don't want Mac Jones. I'm better off back here and getting Kadarius Toney.
That's not Tony's fault. That's the Giants GM's fault.
I'm not saying
I agreed with the trade back. If you went and traded for like Rodgers or one of the quarterbacks that's not named like Carson Wentz, I guess. You know, if they went out and picked up Stafford, that'd be nasty.
Yeah, Stafford.
Sam Darnold would be an upgrade over.
Dude,
not a big one.
Not big.
Honestly, I wouldn't have been upset if they said, all right, now we have 2 first-round picks next year. Hey, Lions, we'll give you 2 first-round picks, Daniel Jones and, I don't know, Jabril Peppers. I don't even fucking care. Just give me Matthew Stafford in this team. I don't give a shit.
They're a playoff team if they have a quarterback.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
The wrong guy, JT.
Guys, I'm not even. I'm not arguing.
This is supposed to be a panic on Saquon, by the way. Like,
this
is not supposed to be a shit on Daniel.
Saquon's fine.
Okay, so can we move on to Zach Moss then?
Hold on. All right, we'll go into. We'll talk about injuries when we get there. I have something to say when we get there. But Zach Moss, my panic is at like if I have Zach Moss, it's at like an 8. Like I think dude's done. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it was an injury or a healthy scratch, but either way, I just think Zach Moss is like at his best case scenario. And Frank and I were talking about this, but prior to the pod, but like at his best case scenario, Zach Moss is like the 2 to 3A in this rushing attack because you have Josh Allen, who's definitely going to be poaching the touchdowns, and you also have Devin Singletary to compete with. So it's you're not getting an efficient amount of target, like an increase in opportunities. So that means you're not going to get a lot of production. Like there's just not the formula for fantasy success just is not there for Zach Moss, regardless of what happens. Like he's just washed.
Well, also too, you have all these people on Twitter that I see that are constantly harping on, draft for upside. If you believe in drafting for upside, Zach Moss is probably the last player that you want to draft in fantasy leagues because the dude is not a great athlete. I mean, he's like a jack of all trades, master of none to a certain extent. I don't think he's a bad player. It's just what does he give you in terms of that elite level? Because Devin Singletary is more dynamic, and Josh Allen is just more dynamic. And this team doesn't run the ball. So where do the fantasy points go? Okay, yeah, if you want 6 points in a game, go ahead. But this dude is not going to have that elite level, not even elite level, RB2 level upside to me.
No. And if Zach Moss kind of got overshadowed by all the 49ers stuff, but this was a really weird move. I thought he could potentially be like their leading rusher this year outside of Josh Allen. I have no idea what to make of it. The coach hasn't really commented on it so far.
I'm interested to see his status next week. I don't understand how, even if you're not going to give him as many touches, just to be inactive just seemed a little weird to me. But definitely a high panic on Zach Moss.
Well, speaking of injuries, let's just get into injury news. I'll start off with I don't know what you want to call this, more, less, whatever. I'm just going to start off with the Washington football team. Ryan Fitzpatrick goes down, hip injury, put on IR. He's going to miss a good portion of the season, I think like 6 to 8 weeks, I think I saw.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what he'll actually end up missing. But where I was going with this is now Heineke's starting, Taylor Heineke. And I was going to bring up, I think the Giants can make the playoffs if they had Taylor Heineke. If the Giants had Taylor Heineke, I think they could be a playoff team. Because he's fine.
Hey, I'm just going to make JT mad. You know who the Giants would make the playoffs with?
Who?
Teddy Bridgewater.
They would.
I don't know if I disagree.
They would.
Teddy Bridgewater does a way better job of taking care of a ball than Daniel Jones. Like you literally just don't need a turnover. Because if you don't turnover, you don't put the defense in bad spots, and the defense just doesn't let up points. Like they did. They turned over the ball like in such terrible places and in such terrible times where the momentum just shot the
Daniel
other
Jones
way. I hate Daniel Jones now. I'm leaning Daniel Jones hate.
Yo, actually though, if I'm the Giants, I trade for. Yo, I'm in. You sold me.
You guys are trying to throw out like outlandish things. I'm like, yeah, that would probably work. Yeah.
No, okay,
but Taylor Heineke on this Washington football team, I don't really think you'll see the football team miss a whole step.
I'm not lower on Gibson or McLaurin or Diami, Curtis, Logan Tom. I'm not lower on any of them.
I think we're in the same spot.
Yeah, I think you just moved laterally here.
I think the only person
Do you think it moves up or down?
This might be a qualm with the Washington football team offense in general, but I am not so sure that it's going to be all sunshine and roses for this football team. Even though I seem to like a lot of their players, and I like Taylor Heineke. I don't hate Taylor Heineke, but it feels like everyone thinks that the Washington football team offense, that every one of these players is going to be good, whether it's Curtis Samuel, oh, he can get 1,000 yards. Oh, Antonio Gibson, he's going to be the next McCaffrey. Oh, Terry McLaurin, Logan Thomas, like all this, that. And then I see an average offense on Sunday, a below average offense. And
I want to see them versus the Giants because I think part of it is I think the Chargers are a lot better than people are.
Yeah, I think the Chargers are a good team too. But I
don't
think
they play the Giants
are anything groundbreaking necessarily, and I think that the Giants have a good defense. So, in terms of especially this game, I'm not sure we're going to see Taylor Heineke on a short week come in and light it up against the Giants.
Oh, I forgot their Thursday night football. Why are they on prime time?
That's why I brought it up. That's the only reason I brought it up.
Why?
The Thursday night game. I just think the Chargers are pretty good. Like I think the Chargers are a playoff team in the AFC.
I think so too. But I think the Washington football teams also, like I know Frank say they're below average. I truly think they're average, but I think that's all you need is them to be average, and I think they're a playoff team.
Well, I think that's the problem is that their offense is just kind of average, and all of their players are so hyped. It's, an average offense can only produce so many great fantasy players.
They're hyped for Dynasty because they're all young, and they're semi-producing. But I do think Terry McLaurin is very good. Like you saw that catch; it was unbelievable that he had. He does that, not that specifically, but he has amazing catches. He's very good with the ball in his hands. Like he's just a very, very solid wide receiver. And then I think Gibson is getting a little bit too much flack. Like we saw
he broke
a decent amount. Yeah, we saw a decent amount.
But real quick, let's go to Heineke. I want to talk about Heineke for a second.
That's a good point.
Because I'm curious as to what you guys think his price is. If you're a team that, maybe you had Fitzmagic and don't have Heineke and are looking for a starting quarterback, or let's say you were a team that was looking for a quarterback and wanted a cheap one, what are you giving up for him?
First off, I'm only buying Heineke if I'm a contender, and I would give my contender second round pick for Heineke.
Whoa, a second?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's too high for me.
Because
I like Heineke.
Can I say my reasoning real quick?
Yeah.
I think there is. I'm not gonna say good over 50%. I'm just gonna say there's a decent chance Heineke might be the starter next season. I think the Washington. Here's the thing. I think they're gonna be not bad enough to be able to draft one of those top guys.
When has that stopped them in the past?
It's not, but I'm saying if he puts together a nice string of games, and this division's up for the grabs. No team's really that impressive. Don't think Dallas is all that. Their offense is, but their defense is ass. But so with Heineke, if he performs well enough to get them to a division title, and their picks may be 19, 20, 21, I could see them just being we'll just improve the roster and roll with this guy again next season and see how it is. That's I think is the reasoning that Buster.
Yeah, at that point, I think they
passed on.
Go ahead, JT.
Go, Jake. Oh, they passed on Tua and Herbert for Chase Young, so I think we see their philosophy on quarterbacks. Yeah.
Well, that's just a generational pass rusher right there. That's not, that's not passing on a quarterback.
You're telling me they wouldn't enjoy having Justin Herbert behind that line?
I'm sure they would. Chase Young was also just one of the safest picks of the draft. kind of similar with like Boza.
Yeah, he's
couple
just
years ago and
Chase
Garrett.
Young. I thought Chase Young had a good argument to go number 1, to be completely honest.
But my
Here's
thing
the
is,
problem with Taylor Heineke is that Taylor Heineke, I loved Taylor Heineke at the beginning of the offseason because you look on Keep Trade Cut, the dude was worth less than like a 4th round pick.
He was
a guy that was a high quality backup quarterback that you could have gotten for a 3rd round pick. The problem with Taylor Heineke is that now we have guys like Lounis who are saying, oh, well, he has a chance of being the starting quarterback next year. Whether or not he actually has a chance of being the starting quarterback is irrelevant because now that's actually somewhat priced in, it seems like. And if I'm going to use a 2nd round pick on a quarterback, I'd rather use a 2nd round pick on like a better quarterback. Maybe I'll use a little bit more draft capital and go get Jared Goff or something. Or
28
whatever.
points, by the way.
Maybe freaking Jameis Winston. I upgrade a 2nd, add something else, and I pick up Jameis Winston, a dude that I know and I just saw like this guy actually has the talent. If I want a QB2, why would I bet a 2nd round pick on Taylor Heineke?
My issues are like, sure, Heineke might be the starter, but he also might be back on the bench in 6 to 8 weeks. Like
exactly,
we don't know because you could get for around the same price or maybe even cheaper. Although I'm not his biggest fan, like you could get Teddy Bridgewater. He's got a pretty easy opening schedule right now.
You could get
Tyrod Taylor.
If you're really concerned about a 1-year rental because your quarterback got hurt, you could get Big Ben for close to nothing.
But like Teddy Bridgewater,
I mean, what's the price of Tom Brady?
Teddy Bridgewater still has multiple year potential in the league. It's not like Teddy Bridgewater, just because he's a bridge quarterback, is going to just vanish. We've seen Tyrod Taylor get like 9 jobs. Teddy Bridgewater, I think, is better than Tyrod Taylor.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree with JT. Like, there's more of a chance that he is back on the bench. The time to buy was when we were saying it months ago, because now you may have to give up more than a 3rd. I'm not doing that. The hit rates don't match up. Unless I see something really sick in these couple of weeks, then I'll reevaluate.
I agree.
Yeah.
There's a reason Ryan Fitzpatrick beat him out for the starting job. It like Fitzpatrick, I love the guy. He's a journeyman quarterback, but at the end of the day, he is also a bridge quarterback himself. So to beat out a guy that you're saying has a chance to start, I just don't see it.
Heineke, end of the day, high quality backup. Let's move on.
In other news, probably the bigger injury in Dynasty world is Jerry Jeudy goes down, high ankle sprain, out around the same amount of time that Fitzpatrick, maybe a little sooner, 4 to 6 weeks, I think. But as we know with high ankle sprains, they're going to linger anyway. Like he's probably just not going to be that great this whole season. Like if I had Jeudy, I'd be like, well, first off, I'm the Jeudy hater of the podcast, which is kind of annoying why he got injured, because one of my hot takes was he wouldn't be a top 36 wide receiver, which is like certainly true now. But I kind of wanted it to be true because he was healthy and just wasn't that good. But regardless, shout out Clown D's in the third.
Devontae Smith says hi, by the way.
Devontae Smith had 1 touchdown against the Falcons. Let's calm down. Hollywood Brown had like a career year in his first game against the Dolphins 2 years ago, and then hasn't really done a whole.
Oh, damn!
Has just started to string it together. Falcons are quite bad. So moving on though, Jeudy, it's just like the high ankle sprain and everything. Like I'm treating it, if I had Jeudy, as I'm putting him on IR now. If he comes back and actually starts producing at the end of the season, great. That's like cherry on top. But for me, this is just a wasted season. Like, whatever. I'm just without Jeudy for the whole season. And if that changes your outlook on if you're contending or not, which like it probably shouldn't, but like if it does, then just pack it in already, because Judy's not going to be back to 100%.
What would you put as Judy's price?
You're not going to get him personally. I mean, you're talking to the wrong guy, but like, you're not going to get him for less than a first at this point.
I'm never giving up a first.
Like one contender first can get him?
Probably.
I'm never giving up a first, period, for Jerry Jeudy.
I would say if all of it takes is one contender first, I would give that up for Jerry Jeudy.
I mean, I think it does depend on the situation of the team and who's giving it up. I think generally speaking, it's close if I would accept a first. The problem is that I would not want to accept a first for a team that I think has a decent shot of making the semifinals of my league, if that's the way that your playoff system works, which I think most do. because I think that he's the type of dude that if you land 110 in most draft classes, you kind of get screwed. You get the short end of the stick. 111 and 112, obviously way worse. I think that Jeudy's better than that. 108, 107, okay, then I'll start to reconsider at that point, because I think I may have that pick rather than Jeudy, especially because it's like he's on the Broncos. There's something about that.
I don't know. Like,
I thought Jeudy was nice before he got hurt.
I like Jeudy still.
I like Jeudy as well, but like if you're going to ask me if I want Jeudy or Devontae Smith or Jeudy or Jalen Waddle, who two of the guys that probably went right there, 110 to 112 in your rookie drafts, especially obviously we're talking super flex.
That's a good point.
I'd
probably take both of the rookies.
I'd probably take both of the rookies if we're going to be honest here. And I like Jeudy. I think he's a great player, but this ankle injury is going to set him back another year, like JT said, and I'm not so sold on this Broncos offense. I mean, obviously this is all going to change as soon as Aaron Rodgers goes to Denver in the offseason. We all know that. But, you know, it's at this point, I might sell for a late first-round pick.
I'm not selling for a late. Like, that's just the line.
I'm not buying
I
for
need
a first.
Okay, obviously you're not buying for a first. But I'm not selling Jeudy unless I know that first-round pick is a top 10 pick. Without that, not happening.
You guys are discounting that. We had Cortland Sutton coming back from injury. He still had
Sutton's
time.
Not 100%.
Yeah, he needed time to ramp up. Now we're going to get Sutton ramping up. He's going to be the wide receiver 1 when Jeudy comes back. Like, he's just now behind Jeudy. Now we also have Noah Fant, who's competing with him for targets. Like, it was neck and neck the whole game before Jeudy got injured as to who had more targets. It was like 7 Jeudy, 6 Fant at the time. Like, it was very clearly that the targets were split between those two, and we were still waiting for Sutton to get back. Now you're going to have to split the pie 3 ways with a quarterback who I don't really love. So we're going to have to wait and see what goes on there. Then you're talking about first-round picks and whatnot. I think I've been one of the people saying I don't really love the 2022 class, but the 2022 wide receivers are still fine. Like, Garrett Wilson will definitely be gone before then. Like, I don't like Chris Olave that much, but I think Chris Olave will be around that, and it's a toss-up between Olave and Jeudy for me. Drake London's fine. Treylon Burks I really like. David Bell. I think David Bell's next year. Is David Bell next year?
I think so.
I don't know. Like, there's no point in just because we just don't know yet. But that I'm thinking it, I actually kind of like. I think Broncos are getting Aaron Rodgers, and it's going to be sick.
You're doing the thing. You're doing the thing where you start increasing Judy's price.
Yeah, I am doing it.
Guys, when you can't get Jeudy for a contender first, blame Frank.
You could say I'm taking the bait. Speaking of which, we have a segment.
Great. What a transition.
Right? You like that?
I did.
So the whole premise is, like, we have a couple of guys that have massively increased in value, 3 of which are kind of lower end players that have risen into fame, and then one we have that's like, all right, he was kind of an established player already. But are we taking the bait, or are they going to be great? Who do we start?
All right. I think the easy one to start off with is Elijah Mitchell, right? Because he's the one that is probably what people are spending all their fab on right now. He's probably the guy that's the talk of everything. Like, if you listen to Frank, he's probably on your if you listen to Frank, he's probably on your dynasty roster.
Did you take him off the taxi yet, Frank?
No.
Are you gonna keep him on the taxi out of curiosity?
Probably just keep him on the taxi.
I haven't really thought of it yet. I go in with my taxi like long term, but I didn't really expect this to happen, to be completely honest.
Oh, really?
Well, like, I liked Elijah Mitchell more so because I thought that Shanahan is the type of quarterback, the type of coach where he can have 2 relevant fantasy running backs. We've seen it before, and he likes running the football. So I'm like, okay, Elijah Mitchell might just be in the rotation and be a guy. All of a sudden, he comes out, Trey Sermon is in shorts, and Elijah Mitchell's apparently the number 1 running back getting 20 carries. Like, what the fuck? I was hoping for a Nyheim Hines. Like,
I don't know if I'm on the outside or what, but I'm saying bait on Mitchell because just as easy as we saw him put up 20 carries and we had Sermon on the bench, like I would not be surprised if next week Sermon's putting up 20 carries and Elijah Mitchell's got like 5 and is doing more special teams work. I don't trust. We're starting to get into Belichick zones of these running backs and who to trust. I was like, I don't know. I'm not trusting any of this backfield at this time. I don't know. I'm out, guys. Bait.
Low key,
Yeah.
I'm in. I mean,
I knew you would be.
The thing is that I'm not gonna go out and pay like first round picks for him. Obviously,
No.
Where do I have him ranked?
What's the most you guys would pay for Elijah Mitchell right now?
I think I
4?
have him. I have him at like
Mid-third.
207,
I'd pay a third.
207,
I'd pay a
208,
third.
somewhere on there.
I don't think anyone's going to take a third for him at this point.
No.
But
No.
yeah,
But the thing is that like a late second round pick, I actually might give it up for him. Surprisingly, because I feel like I'm usually not this kind of dude, but
Elijah Mitchell
maybe
or Taylor
I'm taking the
Heineke?
bait. I am taking the bait, baby.
so you
Let's
think
go.
you think he's great?
But I'm taking the bait.
Wildly, according to Keep Trade Cut, he's already worth a mid to early second.
Oh my
Mid early. I
god!
was hoping my 208 would get it done. God damn.
Oh man,
We're in the realm of Dallas Goedert, Kirk Cousins, Julio Jones.
Okay, maybe I'm selling at
What?
that point. Holy smokes.
That's
You're
according to
telling
Keep
me
Trade Cut.
you can go out and trade Elijah Mitchell for Kirk Cousins in a Superflex league right now?
Should hit up Parker.
According to Keep Trade Cut, yes.
That's absurd.
Now, yeah, so that's why I'm saying bait. But if we want to just keep rolling from that, and we want to talk about,
I'm also on. I like Elijah Mitchell. I have his value right now as a third. I'll say bait. I still believe in Sermon.
I'm on bait as well.
all right. So we got 3 baits. One.
I will say though, one
One
thing that was
great-
interesting. Someone brought it up today. Elijah Mitchell has an extremely similar athletic profile to Mostert, and it might just be the type that Shanahan really likes. So I don't know. We'll
Yeah,
see.
Shanahan's a Tinder girl himself. He likes these quick guys.
Yeah.
I just think Elijah Mitchell's a good player. You know, he was one of my sleeper players coming in, but he ended up not really being a sleeper player come draft times. You know, he was kind of uncovered.
Well, I thought he could be a good change of pace back, like a Hines, but I didn't.
I mean, we have to give credit to the Dynasty community because the Dynasty community in general was high on Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah.
Like, so
Good job,
pat
Dynasty.
on r/Dynasty. Shout out. All right.
Yeah, good job.
They
to
got to
them.
win. They
Getting
got to win
something
for
right.
once.
Yeah, they got a dub.
They're like 1 in like 7.
Does it count as a win when there's a post for like every player nowadays?
Yeah, they took a win and a lot because I think for the win they took for Elijah Mitchell is a bigger L for Sermon. It was a bigger L with Sermon.
Yeah.
yeah.
Tyson
We're
Williams.
good to move on. Yeah,
Yeah.
Tyson Williams. So speaking
Tyson.
of Elijah Mitchell, Tyson Williams. He's also mid-second. Mike
Bait.
Williams, Kenny
Heavy
Galladay,
bait.
Robbie Anderson.
Smash
That's his
accept
price
on
on
any
Keep Trade Cut.
second you can get.
yeah. We're talking about one half from him. We didn't even see he barely showed
That
up in the
was-
second half.
Okay, that was something
Fumbled
that
it twice.
didn't make sense to me. Like
He fumbled twice and sucked in pass pro. That's what
he
kept him
sucked
off
in
the
pass
field.
pro. Okay,
He could not pass block, and he
that's right.
coughed up the ball twice. Luckily enough, it wasn't turnovers, but no ball security, no pass protection. He broke one long 30-yard touchdown, and that was really what's driving everyone on him. But
Yeah,
yeah,
he had 2 nice runs,
bait.
and he was getting some pass game work, which will inflate his PPR stats a little bit, and just the overall targets and stuff. Mid-second is a bait. I really struggle to think that there are people out there paying a mid-second right now in Superflex. I think that's the 1 QB bait coming in.
I'm on Keep Trade Cut. It's what they're telling me for Superflex. But yeah, I agree. That's my issue with Keep Trade Cut, right? Because it'll shoot up in price, but it's very league dependent on if you're actually getting these kind of deals. Yeah, I feel like in most leagues you're not getting a mid-second for Tyson Williams. All right. Anyone else have anything to add, or are we just bait? Easy
Bait.
Okay. Another one to move on to is Juwan Johnson. 2 touchdowns, but 3 targets.
Why are we talking about him?
He was a weird one in that he was a wide receiver turned tight end. maybe he could figure it out. But again, he's someone that, although he's not mid-second, he's in early third. And at that price, like he's ranked as tight end 22 right now. Yeah, if I could find the tight end rankings, that'd be nice. I'll pull them up right now.
Who's right ahead of him and right behind him?
I'm looking for tight end rankings. I'll tell you who the people right next to him are. But he's in between Austin Hooper and Anthony Ferguson. And when I say it like that, I guess it's not that egregious. Like, I don't really like either. The thing I think is more egregious is he's ahead of Dalton Schultz, who's kind of shown that he's more of the tight end one on Dallas. Not that I really love Dalton Schultz, but like he's just going to be more consistent than Juwan Johnson, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys disagree on that, but
no, I agree.
Are you guys all taking
Jameis
bait on Juwan?
Bait.
Massive bait.
I'd give up like a fourth for him, like an early fourth. Like I think he's someone that I wouldn't mind.
Sure.
But an early third, like we're talking like 301 is where he is.
I'm not touching anything in the third round for him. No shot.
If we talk about who he's getting ranked around, it's not like that appealing of options. So I guess it makes more sense, but it's like this one just has Sony Michel. Sony Michel is someone around him. Let's see if I can find more. If not, it doesn't really matter. But like that's the kind of quality player we're talking about is ranked around Juwan Johnson. So we all agree, bait?
Yeah.
I actually kind of like Juwan Johnson.
I don't mind him.
Oh, here we go.
Like
early third is too much. Early third is way too much.
But like a late third.
But here's the thing. I'm watching that game a little bit. And man, like I think he's pretty good. Like obviously
he's the pass catching tight end.
From the targets perspective and all that jargon, like, okay, Juwan Johnson is not a very sexy player. But dude, like I'm looking at these plays that he's making, and like there's some good plays. Like I think that there's some serious developmental potential here. So like if I have him, I don't think I'm going to sell him.
I think that's in the camp I'm in too.
If you can get what Keep Trade Cut's telling you, I'd absolutely sell him.
I don't know if I want to sell him for a third round pick right now. I really don't.
Here's the 5 guys ranked above him and 5 guys ranked below him, and you guys decide what you think. 5 above: Donovan Peoples-Jones, Austin Hooper, Ben Roethlisberger. This one's a shocker. Kyle Trask and Dwayne Eskridge. And the 5 below are Sony Michel, Tyrod Taylor, Ty Johnson, Alexander Madison, James Conner.
I'm taking Juwan Johnson over at least half of those players.
I mean, half, sure. But
as I was reading it, I was like, wow, okay. I kind of almost want to flip the bottom 5 with the top 5, though. I almost feel like other than Ben Roethlisberger, like, and I guess to some extent Donovan Peoples-Jones, like the bottom 5 almost sound better than the top 5. But yeah, all right. Bait. This one's the more intriguing one though, and I'm not sure if we all agree on this or what. But Deebo Samuel, Frank, you want to kick off Deebo?
Yeah, so I have a little spiel to say on my boy Deebo Samuel. I'm going to roll in for this one. Because Deebo Samuel was one of the players, if you're a hardcore 3rd and 20 listener, we did a segment a while back on third-year breakout receivers, and there was 2 major cases that fit a lot of third-year breakout receivers for receivers from 2000 to like 2012. And Deebo Samuel fit the major first case, where like 80% of these guys go on to have a top 24 season and a decent amount be a wide receiver 1. And we may have just seen that happen. Now, I'm not going to go out there and act like that, I was the biggest Deebo Samuel fan in the world. I mean, I think I was definitely higher on him than consensus, but it's not like I have Deebo Samuel in all my leagues. But after watching him play, the third-year breakout study where he seems to be everything falling into place, like I would be pretty damn comfortable giving up a first-round pick for Deebo Samuel right now.
Ooh.
And I don't like that's the thing, right? That's the thing. The fact that people are shaking their head and be like, "Oh, I don't know about that," is why I really think that Deebo Samuel is a smash buy right now. Like, okay, obviously not every owner is going to sell him for a first-round pick, especially after last week. But if I can get him for a late first pick, like, okay, a late first and maybe a pick upgrade or something, and then into that, because I really feel like this is one of those scenarios where you can get a really talented receiver before he reaches peak value.
Real quick, Frank, I'm actually with you. I'm saying great for Deebo. So as for the price, I'll get to that in a sec. Obviously, he had a monster game, 9,499. So his value went down because of last season. Because after his rookie year, his value was high. He had a good rookie season. His last season, he was injured for most of the year, and his value went down along with the Aiyuk hype. But in the games he played last year, his last 4 games of the season, he played 5. The last 4 games of the season last year, 6 for 73, 11 for 133, 5 for 65, 6 for 66, and a touchdown. All of those games are like what, 15, 10, 19, 11 points. Like, he was putting up wide receiver 2 numbers last year in the games he played. And he's still super young. He just turned 25.
In a sick offense, and Shanahan actually likes him.
Yeah. And while this Aiyuk thing's a question mark,
he's still worth a 2022 or 2021 late first round pick on Keep Trade Cut. He's in between the two. He's basically at that price, though.
Real quick, I'm also on Team Great. I also really liked Deebo before, and I didn't expect this. I didn't expect this to happen so quickly, but in the Dynasty Reddit, someone posted like, "What are your hot takes?" And I said, I thought, like, you know, it was like looking at Keep Trade Cut. Tell us which players you think will pass other players, and you know, you gave like a wide range of stuff. So I said Deebo Samuel, who at the time was ranked as Keep Trade Cut player 100, would pass Brandon Aiyuk, Keep Trade Cut ranked 56. It's already happened. We're week 1 in, and he's up 44 spots past. Well,
dude, why didn't you victory lap?
Deebo's up like 30 spots. I should have victory lapped it already. I mean, I might. Some of my other ones
no,
here
you
have
gotta
not
save that.
yet,
You don't want to be one of the week 1 victory lappers.
Yeah. Well, we still need OJ Howard to pass Mike Gesicki, Swift to pass Cook, and Fields to pass Joe Burrow. So we're gonna wait on that. I don't know if the Burrow one's gonna happen because
Burrow
Nagy, but
that's a great call right there, though. That is kind of sick.
Swift
I've been in on Deebo.
Swift looked great, but I thought Burrow looked really good.
It's just crazy how quick that happened. 1 week.
Like that, yeah. that took some Shanahanigans. But
you gotta think about how drastic their weeks were, though. It's not like Deebo had like 7 for 90 and a touchdown, and Aiyuk had like 5 for 60. Like, Aiyuk got benched, and Deebo had almost 200 yards.
I call it a favor from Shanahan.
You gotta buy a lottery ticket, JT.
Yeah, I in my wildest dreams kind of expected that to happen, but yeah, all aboard the Deebo train. I like Deebo a lot.
I commend you for not victory lapping out on Twitter. I think 99% of Twitter fantasy football users would have screenshotted and victory lapped that.
The main purpose of my Twitter is to just beat down all the Chase hate, and it's working so far.
I mean,
we're fighting off all day.
The 49ers. That made me so mad. The 49ers reporter, Frank, you pointed it out before, and that was like just praising Aiyuk all summer. Then like that Sunday was like, it was clear that Aiyuk wasn't ready. Like, I forgot what was the exact word.
It wasn't just praise. He said the word unguardable. Like, that is the maximum form of praise for a receiver. That trumps freaking John Gruden saying that Brian Edwards is Randy Moss. That is better than anything, is saying he is unguardable. Dude, unguardable from the bench. I'm sorry. That is just so funny.
Man, all right. I think that Eagles 49ers game next week for fantasy is one of the most interesting games.
There are a lot of players I don't know anything about still.
I'm so interested to see how that game goes. Not even just for the end result, just the players.
We good to move on?
Yeah.
Trending up, trending down. All right. Frank kind of mentioned earlier, Jameis Winston, what was it? 5 touchdowns? like 160 yards passing.
5 tutties, baby. We back. Jameis, let's go.
Well, surprisingly,
ridiculous stat line.
Do you know he had the least amount of passing yards in a 5-touchdown performance ever?
Yeah.
I believe it. He only threw like 160 yards.
It's probably one of the smallest for a 4-touchdown performance too.
Yeah, you want to know what that shows? That just shows you how freaking good Sean Payton is and how good Alvin Kamara is.
Yeah, I agree on that.
But not only that, he threw like a 50-yard touchdown too.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he didn't have any long touchdowns. He threw a long touchdown on top of all his other ones. Yeah, just I don't know. Oh, Marquez Callaway, we could have included.
Dude, I'll tell you what, the Saints offense really reminds me of some of those earlier year Drew Brees offenses. Not in Drew Brees' career, but kind of for the Saints, like early 2010s and whatnot, where you kind of have like a lot of bigger bodies on the field and then spreading the ball out a ton. You're getting 6-7 plus players touching the ball every game. And I actually really like it. I think it's going to be fun to watch.
I'm so happy Jameis had a good game. I think the league's better when Jameis is playing. He's just fun to watch. Let's eat some dubs today, gentlemen.
Dude. Did you guys see the RG3 tweet about the crab legs?
That made zero sense. RG3, it's weird because on TV he sounds good, but on Twitter it's just a shit show. I don't know. And real quick, before we go on to the next one, I saw you bring up Marcus Callaway. It's 2 words for people who are concerned. His name's Jair Alexander. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's ridiculous.
Who's that?
Jair Alexander is very good.
That's not a fantasy player, Lounis.
Yeah,
they don't exist.
We'll see this week what he does. All right, so that's Jameis. We then are moving on to Joe Mixon. And Jake, you've been the Mixon guy.
30 touches.
My guy. If he can stay healthy, he's going to touch the ball 30 times a game, and it's just going to be an absolute workhorse for this Cincinnati offense that put up a bunch of points, Frank. Yes, this Cincinnati offense put up a bunch of points.
I refuse to believe it.
Not Burrow had a good day. Chase had a good day. Higgins had a good day. Mixon had a good day. Listen, I'm all in on Cincy, baby. Let's go. Feed me some Bengals. They're all going to be good this season. Count your blessings now.
They're all going to be good this season. You're playing a Week 1 Vikings team. Get out of here. Let's see you do it in Pittsburgh. How about that?
All right.
I'll
see you then. When do they play?
Frank, let's see the hand. How nervous are we about the Bengals beating Pittsburgh? Let's get a shake meter. Oh, that's pretty steady. That's pretty steady.
I think it's screen frozen.
Guy's not worried.
I don't even care if the Bengals beat Pittsburgh as long as Mixon touches the ball 30 times. I don't really care. So right. I'm in on this Bengals offense, and I'm going to stay in on this Bengals offense
5 times. But Mixon, I'm in on. He got 30 touches. That's
35.
Good point,
36 actually.
Wait, what did you say, JT?
That's not sustainable. That's what I'll say. I said you made a good point. I'll say it's not sustainable that Mixon's getting 35, 36 touches.
Let's eat, boys. Let's eat.
It's not going to happen. I think he's fine. I think he's going to be good, but the amount of carries he got was not.
He leads the league in rushing after week 1, boys. Basically, an RB1 already.
All right, moving on. Next trending up, Rondale Moore, someone that we were all pretty high on. I feel like. I don't think there's any real Rondale Moore detractors.
Rondale Moore was awesome. If you don't mind me talking about him real quick. So every year I see people this week already starting to bring up like Christian Kirk, like, oh, spend all your fab on Kirk. Like if you want to have him as a bench guy, well, that was more redraft, but like in terms of being comfortable starting him, he has these games do you guys remember the Dallas game last season? Monday night.
Yeah.
He balled out against the Dallas Cowboys. He'll randomly have these weeks. He's not like a bad football player. Like he's like, it's just he's not reliable enough for me to trust in fantasy. Rondale Moore is going to become the number 2 eventually. In like 20% of snaps, he had 5 targets, 4 catches, and like 60. Let me get his final exact stat line. It was
like 68 yards.
68. Yeah, 68 yards, 4 catches. five targets. I also thought something that was kind of cool too is which you don't really see a ton with rookies. He was very on page with Kyler on a lot of scramble drills. Like a lot of rookies struggle with that, with how to make themselves open when the quarterback's extending the play and knowing to run certain directions and find those holes in the defense. That insane Kyler play we saw, Rondale Moore did that perfectly.
That play was just...
Kyler's
Oh,
ridiculous.
yeah, that's insane. The other encouraging sign, though, too, is that I don't know the exact stats behind it, but he was getting around 40% target rate on when he was actually playing and running routes. So that was definitely a really encouraging sign that when he's on the field, they're working him in and getting him the football. And I mean, he only really played like 60% half the game, I'm pretty sure.
Less.
So like you can only expect like, okay, obviously he's a rookie. They're not going to rely on him. Christian Kirk has been in the system, but you know, you're hoping that, okay, around week 8, week 9, once like the season is really underway and he's got a lot more time and he's not really a rookie anymore, that he can really be acclimated and be getting more snaps and then that leading to more targets. You know, as long as you're getting that 8-7 targets for a guy like him, I think that he can really make a lot with those targets and be really efficient.
By the way, can I say something real quick? 2 little stats. He only played 20 snaps and did that. And only 14 routes run. And so the leaders in yards after catch for week 1, number 1 was Deebo. A lot of that came on that huge play. Christian McCaffrey was 2.
Tyler Lockett.
Tyreek Hill was up there, but not at the top because that pass was already so far downfield. It was probably only 30 yards of running. McCaffrey was at 86, Swift at 72, Taylor at 60, CD Lamb at 63. Rondale Moore was up there at 60. He was like 5th.
He was one of the highest graded rookies in PFF wide receiver rankings. Rondale Moore, good. Nothing new.
We've all loved him on this podcast. So if you guys repeated, we've all been high on him.
Yeah. Moving on, Corey Davis. I think this is one that people kind of discounted because Elijah Moore was there and was getting all the hype. But I think you should have seen this probably coming because he's not the rookie. He got paid a lot to go there. Like, there's a reason why Corey Davis is there. It was just kind of the question mark of could he repeat what he did last year? And the answer is clearly yes. So
yeah, I'm gonna raise my hand and say I was wrong about Corey Davis. I thought he would really struggle. I thought he'd really struggle being the true number 1 receiver and not having AJ Brown on the opposite side of him. And he went out there and just proved me wrong. He proved that he can be the number 1 receiver on not a great offense, but a capable offense. And he looked really good. And trending up is definitely the arrow here for Corey Davis.
Assuming he's going to break 1,000 yards this year, assuming he stays healthy.
Well, all right. You guys just combined 2 different statements into another guy. Wide receiver that you had question marks about doing well on a bad offense and breaking 1,000 yards. And we get those combined to Brandon Cooks, who is another one of our trending ups. I don't know, kind of answered both those questions. It looks like he can be good. I mean, it was against the Jaguars. That doesn't really change a whole lot for me.
Still, though, you can
he's
say,
still going to be number 1. Yeah.
You could say it's against the Jaguars, but I could say this. The Texans are going to be passing more during games than they did in that Jacksonville game. Like that Jacksonville game, they were still able to run the ball a good amount because they had.
Didn't Mark Ingram get like 20-something carries?
He had like 26 carries.
Yeah, Mark Ingram had like 26 carries.
Yeah, and like Lindsey had 10, David Johnson had 8. They're going to be passing. They're not going to have much games with the lead. They're going to be playing from behind a ton. They're going to be passing a ton. Brandon Cooks, similar to Davis, it's just health for him. If he stays healthy, he'll have 1,000-yard season. Yeah, and be a very underrated fantasy player.
Wrapping up, trending up, we got Tyler Lockett. Again, this is someone that I think most people kind of saw coming. It's just the same questions always happen. Like, can he consistently do this? Will Russell Wilson end up being the second half Russell Wilson again, or can they actually sustain what they're doing? And if they can, Tyler Lockett is a very, very attractive player at that price of whatever he's currently going for. Somewhere probably in the mid-second range, I would assume.
I just think for Lockett, it's like the whole question mark for a lot of people is, okay, well, he got all his production in like 2 games. It's probably not going to happen again. Well, we just saw the value of Tyler Lockett where he's going to have those games where he just gets behind the defense and he's going to consistently do that every single season. Or it seems like, at least. And they signed him to that extension, right? There just seemed to be a lot of Tyler Lockett hate. There's definitely a clear path for him to finish top 15 at the receiver position again. And you could have got a nice little steal on a lot of these receivers that we just listed, Brandon Cooks and Corey Davis as well.
Yeah. At Tyler Lockett's price, it's very hard to find receivers that can literally win you games. Like Tyler Lockett probably just did for a bunch of people. All right. On the flip side, we are turning downs, and this is one that I really want to take a victory lap on, but I'm not ready to do it yet. Najee Harris. I don't know what's going on outside my room right now, but if you hear like some kind of truck, sorry. Najee Harris. Najee Harris played every single offensive snap with the Steelers. He had 45 yards rushing. 45 yards playing every single snap. I think it was like 14 carries. I don't have that part right in front of me, right? But 16 carries. 16 carries, 45 yards, less than 3 yards per carry. So you might think, but JT, it's against the Buffalo Bills. Like they probably knew they needed to stop the run against Najee Harris. Yeah. Najee Harris had no more than 8 players in the box on any of his 16 carries. The box was never stacked against Najee Harris, and he still only managed to get 45 yards. I'm sorry. He had like 2 receptions, whatever. It didn't really look that explosive with the receptions. When you look at Javonte Williams and what Javonte Williams was doing on the Broncos, like I can't see how you look at both players and don't put Javonte over Najee. Other than you're like, I just think Najee's getting more carry. It's very clearly Javonte is better. That's it. It's my line in the sand. I've drawn it a long time ago. I'm sticking with it. I'm planting my flags all over this line.
So I was also on Javonte over Najee, but I still did like Najee. My concern isn't really him. I believe in him as a rusher. My concern is the Steelers O-line, because Big Ben was under pressure for a lot of the day too. It was a weird game. The Steelers offense didn't have that many total yards. I think they got held under 300 total yards. It was a weird game, and Buffalo has a good defense, but
dude, we would have been held under 200 total yards.
I think you guys had like 250. I think it was like around there. I'm not gonna. I still like Najee. It's just the Steelers O-line that needs to play, and Frank can probably analyze this better.
I don't know. Like, obviously, everyone's gonna point to the O-line as one of the reasons he's struggling. Yeah, I agree. Our O-line is pretty dog crap. I don't think it's as bad as people are advertising. I think that Bills D-line just played really well, and they have a lot of talent that seems to be kind of maturing at least like that game. You know, you had a lot of young guys really step up and play well, and Edmonds was playing well, their linebacker. Like that defense is legit. I think the thing that concerned me the most with Najee is the fact that him and Ben just seem to not be on the same page with those dump-offs, because that was one of my biggest problems with James Conner as a running back, was not the fact that he wasn't really a great runner. I mean, he would break tackles. And he had good games. It's just in the receiving work, he was not a great catcher of the football, and him and Ben seemed to never be on the same page. Najee, we saw at Bama at least be a really good catcher of the football, and that's one of the big reasons why people probably bought into him. If you're not going to be able to do these dump-offs with Ben, I mean, you can, like, that is cheat code kind of production. That's how Le'Veon Bell saw a lot of his work, and we kind of saw like the potential there. But Najee Harris is only trying to catch the ball with one hand. He's not turning around quickly enough. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt a little bit, and the fact that it's his first game, he's a rookie. You could tell that he needed to speed things up to really play at that NFL level. But I was kind of concerned with the fact that, dude, like, use 2 hands to catch a football. It's not going to be right in your chest every time. Big Ben's going to be under pressure and give you some little flips and crap. Like, we need to see you be the pass catcher that you were drafted to be in the first round.
I will say, this is why I'm holding off from my complete victory lap. Najee Harris did, like, I don't think the Bills' run defense was all that great last year. I think they were, like, solid. But he's got a very easy schedule in these next 3 weeks of Las Vegas, Cincinnati, and Green Bay. And if he can't do anything in these 3 weeks, that's why I'm taking out my car and I'm doing donuts on the Najee Harris hill. And I'm just victory lapping the heck out of it. Because if he can't get it together in these 3 weeks, I see you, Najee.
Yeah. Definitely the next game for sure against Vegas. Since I don't think they looked bad against Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook had the touchdowns, but I thought they defended run.
Dalvin Cook looked very pedestrian.
Well, all right. Even if you take out Cincy, Green Bay, they let everyone run over them.
Yeah.
They don't stop.
And no, I'm saying the next game especially against Vegas, they should. Tyson Williams is running all over them.
All right. Najee's probably the biggest one that for me at least. Matt Ryan did not look great. Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts each got 7 targets, 5 targets.
I had Pitts had 8. He had 4 catches on those for I think around 32 yards. Ridley had 5 for 51.
Yeah, so they finished tied for targets with maybe 8.
No other receiver caught a catch.
Yeah,
well,
just
dude,
not
they
good.
had. I think the bigger thing is the fact that the Falcons O-line is still terrible, dude. Steed sent me a tweet from Evan Birchfield at Evan Birchfield. I'm going to read part of it. Jalen Mayfield finished with a 1.4 pass blocking grade, which in many years of posting these grades is by far the lowest number I've ever seen. Honestly, I didn't think they could go that low.
Did you see he tweeted out if you want your QB protected, draft me? It's plain and simple.
Yeah, no. I saw a tweet that was a sequence of 3 things. It was one, it was that his tweet saying you draft me if you want your QB protected. 2, it was a clip or picture of Fletcher Cox just leveling him into the quarterback. And then the third picture was a real quote from Arthur Smith after the game on the rookie against Fletcher Cox. And he said, everyone's got to get baptized at some point. That's his quote after the game.
That's a great quote.
Dude, that's that reminds me of the meme where it's the little blue elf dude going through the door.
Yeah.
Jalen Mayfield into the NFL. Fletcher Cox just throwing him right back through the door.
Dude, Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave against him was just brutal. And what makes it kind of tougher, as much as I like Pitts, Penei Sewell had an awesome week 1. Penei Sewell was great.
He was another one that people were dogging during preseason too.
He held his own really well against Bosa. He was holding his own.
The thing with a lot of these guys that are tagged the generational talents of the world, the Jamar Chases and the Penei Sewells of this draft, they go to training camp and any mistake they made is just completely scrutinized and completely overblown. Yeah. Obviously, you're gonna make mistakes. You're a rookie. That's you only get better from there. Just to say Penei Sewell was a complete bust after preseason was absolutely absurd.
Yeah, he looks. And now you can make. Even though I love Kyle Pitts, that I think the Falcons' offense could have used a good left tackle more because he looked awesome at left tackle. But Matt Ryan,
Kyle Pitts.
Dude, Kyle Pitts, I still think is a beast, dude. I saw there was one catch on one of his targets. It was out of bounds. Dude, Matt Ryan probably put that freaking ball 12 feet in the air, and he just brings it down like it's nothing. It wasn't a catch, but it's dude, holy crap. Seeing it in person, Kyle Pitts, I feel does play at the NFL speed. We didn't see the numbers, but I really do think that the numbers will come.
And I think they will, too. I just meant more in terms of importance to the team. So here's the thing with Matt Ryan. What are we expecting with this offense this year? Is the Eagles' defense that amazing? I think the Eagles' defense is all right. I don't think it's one of the worst in the NFL.
I think the Eagles defense is very middle of the road.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're average. They're average. And Matt Ryan didn't break 200 passing yards.
It's a week 1 game, dude.
I know. I'm not going to put too much stock into it, but it was just bad.
I will say I'm fully out on Mike Davis. I just have no faith in Mike Davis. People are oh, he's got the role to himself.
He's fine in redraft. In redraft, I don't mind him, but Dynasty, I'm out.
He was always overpriced to me in Dynasty, yeah. All right, moving on. This guy I still like. Him. James Robinson on the Jaguars.
I don't trust
who doesn't like him? You know who doesn't like him? His coach, Urban Meyer, because he split him with freaking Carlos Hyde. Carlos Hyde and James Robinson are having to split carries. And part of the reason that made James Robinson so great last year was he had the highest usage rate among running backs in the NFL. So obviously the more times
I was going to say that game was the lowest of his career.
Yeah. So, yes, Frank?
Here's the one thing I want to say about James Robinson, because watching that Jaguars-Texans game, this is the one thing that I immediately thought. is that they tried, and this is just a bad play by the coaching staff. It's fine. It happens. You know, it's a week 1 game. You're thinking that you're going to come in and kind of just run your offense against the Texans. I think what they tried to do is just take James Robinson and put him in the role that they were expecting Etienne to play. Thinking that, okay, yeah, James Robinson isn't going to be great, but he's good enough to do it. Right? You know, splitting him out wide and getting him in slants and stuff, and then using Carlos Hyde as the new James Robinson, which just did not work. It did not work. It was a hard fail. And I really do not think that the Jaguars are going to do that again. I think, okay, they came in, there was a bad game plan, they learned from their mistake, and now that we're going to see a different usage of these 2 running backs going forward the rest of the season.
I hope so.
I think so too. Can I ask that question? Honest opinion. Is Urban Meyer the head coach for this team at the start of next season, week 1?
No shot. He'll be USC's coach. Like,
I
definitely.
agree with JT.
I don't really know because, like, I think people are a little bit too early to judge Urban Meyer. It's one game.
We were talking if the Texans would win a game this year.
Dude, this was the perfect
I've been out on
scenario
Urban
for the Texans. They're a veteran team. They have only veteran players. It's a week 1 game against a young-ass team, a completely young team with a quarterback that is not ready to start in the NFL right now. He's just not.
I've been out on Urban Meyer since before he even had an NFL team to be on. Like, dude, there's just such differences between college football and NFL where he's got when you're in college coach, I'm sorry about James Robinson, we're going on this tangent, but like when you're a college coach, you bring in those guys to fit your specific system. So you already have the guy that you want to play the ETN role. Like, you just go and recruit him. You make players fit your system. It's a privilege and an honor to go to Ohio State or Florida or wherever he is, because they're winning there. When you're in the NFL and you've got the Jaguars, the coaching style isn't the same, right? Because some of the players you're coaching, they've been in the league 10 years. They don't need life lessons and whatnot. They don't need that extra motivation. They've got it. They've been in here for 10 years. They don't need to fit your scheme. You're supposed to be fitting. You should be molding it around the players, kind of like what Greg Roman kind of does. Not that I love Greg Roman, but that's more of what you should be trying to do. And this is just a team that, like, you don't have a lot of stuff here. I know you brought in Trevor Lawrence, which is great, and Marvin Jones is a solid receiver, but this is a team that had way more holes than they already had. And at the end of the day, if the GM Khan or the owner Khan doesn't think that Urban Meyer is really improving Trevor Lawrence and the future of this organization, he's going to be gone. And I think he's not going to improve this team very much. He's already shown to me enough when he said that he wanted Kadarius Toney to because he had Laviska Shenault, and then he went and got Travis Etienne. Like, that's already 2 terrible GM front office roles decisions. It's just been a train wreck from the start.
It is kind of a train wreck.
I'm reserving judgment. I think this is an overreaction.
I think he's going to be a worse Chip Kelly. At least Chip Kelly had 1 good season where his offense caught the NFL off guard. But as for James Robinson, here's the shame. Kind of like, I don't know how this year is going to go. And if you're hoping like, if Urban's gone after the season, he's going to be good again. Etienne's back next year. And I think he's a more talented running back.
That injury is so bad.
Dude, Urban Meyer could win 2 games. And if he wants to be the coach, he'll still be the coach.
I agree.
I don't know if he'll want to be a coach.
There's going to be a lot of coaches in the NFL that would want the opportunity to coach.
I don't know if he's going to want.
I don't think Urban Meyer. Yeah, I don't think Urban Meyer is the cream of the crop.
This is not a 1 year. We're going to turn this thing around and start winning Super Bowls.
But Urban Meyer's not the guy who's turning it around.
It's 1 game, dude. It's 1 game.
What does Urban Meyer bring to the NFL? What does Urban Meyer do that like Brian Daboll couldn't? He can build an organization,
and that's what the Jags need. They need an organization first, and then a team second.
I would rather Dan Campbell than Urban Meyer. Give me Dan Campbell any day of the week over Urban Meyer.
Same, actually.
Building an organization. What culture does Urban Meyer bring?
I was impressed
with
quit
when it gets down.
Six great franchises before. He's built
it's college football is such a different beast in that term.
He's a great recruiter, and his team.
You just have to be a good recruiter. You just bring in the good talent, and everything will follow. Urban Meyer So overrated to me. All time overrated coach. I hate Urban Meyer.
Let's move to Mike Evans. Put JT on
He quits. Urban Meyer quits when the going gets tough. Dan Campbell will go and he'll bite your kneecaps and he'll bite him again. Dan Campbell's way better coach.
I am team Dan Campbell. Mike Evans.
He probably should have been like a panic meter one. I'm
not worried. People, everyone who's panicked about Mike Evans, go look at his week 1 stat line from last season.
It was pretty much the same thing.
It was 1 catch. It was like 1 catch for 20 yards. I understand people saying, oh, AB. Oh. Like, listen, out of those 3 receivers, there's going to be weeks where 2 of them go off and 1 of them has a dud. It's going to be random. Next week, it might be AB and Mike Evans going off and Godwin has the dud. It might be after that, Evans and Godwin goes off and AB has the dud. That's just going to happen some weeks. These are 3 extremely talented receivers. Season as a whole, Mike Evans will be fine. If I can say a 0, I'd say a 0. I'll say like a 1. Say 1.
I think it was just pretty clear that Tom Brady and that staff liked the matchup that Godwin had in the slot primarily and thought that they could just keep going there over and over and over again. And if you wanted to ever try to double him and leave AB one-on-one on the outside, they were going to run a double move or something and hit him deep. And then obviously you have Gronk where they just kind of snuck Gronk in enough times to where he had an insanely efficient day. But I think you guys are right. There's no need to panic on Mike Evans. He's a Hall of Fame level talent.
Yeah, they actually asked the OC about that today, about him not getting many targets, and he was like, "This is actually an improvement from last year's week 1." When you guys all asked me the same question.
All right, and then let's wrap it up. Our last guy, Zeke Elliott. It is kind of unfair. He played the Bucs defense, which is always been very good against the run.
Here's the thing:
yes, Lounis?
Zeke will have a pretty good season because of how much this offense is going to score. Like he's going to get tons of tons of scoring opportunities. He should have had a touchdown at the goal line against Tampa Bay. It was a combination of, I think he was expecting Jarwin to be able to block the corner. That play was just kind of a mess. So he should have had a touchdown, which would have given him like 10 points on the day, which is whatever. I don't think he's going to be the old Zeke where you're seeing like 20 to 25 touches, like 120, 30 yards. He might have a couple, like 2-3 of those games this year. I'm not expecting that. I'm expecting a lot of games where he has like 70, 80 yards and a rushing touchdown or 2, and he'll be fine. But he's not the Zeke he used to be.
I agree exactly with you said, Lance.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a big overreaction from week 1. This Bucs defense is absolutely incredible, especially the front seven. Very, very few running backs, if any, will have a good game against the Bucs this season. They're just that good. So to expect Zeke to do it, I just don't think is fair to him. And I think you're right. He's going to he's probably going to come get 1,000 yards, if not come close to it, and probably have 7, 8, 9 touchdowns because this offense is going to score points, and he'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't want to come off like a know-it-all here or something, or like oh my god, you idiots. But like, at least for me, because I own Zeke in our home league, right?
Yeah.
And we sold Zeke in another league, and I think that there was a pretty clear decision early on in the offseason, and it was, dude, you're either holding Zeke through the thick and the thin, and you kind of had to decide before the season started, like, I am either holding Zeke through the thick and the thin because I see that we are playing the Bucs week 1, right? And I see that they have Vita Vea, a 350-pound monster that's just as fast as Zeke. Somehow, the guy's an absolute freaking
Ndamukong Suh, Levante David.
Oh, you don't believe me?
Shaq
Look at the Vegas
Barrett.
over-under that was like 50 yards.
Yeah.
I was fooled into that.
Vegas saw it coming too.
So it's like, okay, you kind of expected. At least I did. Maybe not everyone did expect him to struggle week 1. But I had made the decision already 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, that I am going to hold Zeke. I tried to shop around. I didn't really fall in love with an offer. Maybe I could have taken it because I don't think he's the player that he was, whatever. But I think that now it's just like, dude, if you're selling now,
you don't sell right now.
I don't like it. I really just don't like it.
You can't sell right now because you're obviously going to want a first, probably more for Zeke straight up, and you're just not going to. It's going to be hard pressed to find someone after that performance week 1 to really give you that.
If you wanted to throw,
obviously later down the line this season, he's gonna have multiple touchdowns and great games and whatnot, and then it'll be easier to sell Zeke if you really wanted to. But I think honestly at this point, if you're a Zeke owner, ride it out. I mean, what's the loss here? If you have Zeke, you're probably a contender. He's only gonna help you.
Yeah.
You could still sell him if you really want, and you're really scared, and you're a bad team, maybe. But like Jake said, if you have Zeke to start the season, and you're a bad team, and you're really panicked after week 1, I don't understand why you have him in the first place.
Yeah,
because there were windows. There were a lot of Zeke apologists
all offseason.
And we had went over one of the trades that we did. Like, we sold Zeke for what was a consensus undersell at the time. We sold Zeke for a late first and Darnell Mooney, then turned Darnell Mooney in a second into another first. So we did a trade that I would love to do for Zeke today. Zeke in a second for 2 firsts that you're just not going to be able to do anymore. So
yeah,
you could still sell that. You could probably get a first, but I don't know. I just think that decision should have been made weeks ago if you were going to do it.
Yep,
100%.
I 100% agree.
Before we sign off, this is kind of improv. All of you, if you don't have one on top of your head, that's fine. Favorite waiver wire pickup this week that's not named Elijah Mitchell.
In a dynasty league?
Mine, I'll list 2 names out there. The second one might not be on waivers. Cedric Wilson. Now that Gallup's hurt, I think the number 3 receiver in Dallas holds some value, especially when you're comparing what's out there in
went to
waivers.
SMU, right?
I believe so.
I gotta look this.
And then if he's somehow still on waivers, Boise State. If he's somehow still on waivers, Tim Patrick. He had a pretty good week 1, and now Jeudy's out, and Sutton's still coming back to his own. So those are the 2 that came to mind this week for me.
I don't know who's owned more or less, Tim Patrick or KJ Hamler. Probably KJ Hamler. But I like KJ Hamler more.
KJ
I think.
Hamler. Yeah.
Yeah. On top of that, I'd probably say, I don't know, Cordell Patterson maybe. Like,
that's not a bad one.
He's kind of that. He's got the running back and wide receiver designation, so he can kind of fill in if you have injuries on your team, and he's gonna get the touches. It's just like, can he do anything with them? I don't know.
So a guy I think is interesting. I didn't really love this dude coming into the season, but KJ Osborne on the Vikings.
Yeah, that number, yeah.
Just because I think that the Vikings had a lot of pretty talented receivers on their, at least I thought, on their team coming into the season. I mean, he was the number 3 through and through and had a pretty good day. If he's on waivers, like, it's just tough to tell who's on waivers and how deep leagues are. James O'Shaughnessy, I see, is a popular pickup.
Yeah.
He got a decent amount of targets, but I imagine he's probably rostered. So KJ Osborne, I think, would be a number 1 priority for me because I think he's available in a ton of leagues.
Yeah, he should be.
Yeah. I also like, what's his name? Oh, Zach Pascal on the Colts. He had a really nice event. I know he had, I think it was 2 touchdowns, so those numbers are a little inflated for week 1. But he got the looks, and that offense really doesn't have a standout wide receiver, so I think he could really continue to draw some targets throughout the season.
Yeah, Pittman and Campbell have not stepped up yet. It's literally been up for grabs, those targets, so I actually like that one too. Okay, I just wanted to squeeze that in at the end. I just thought it was interesting.
All right. So with that, I think that is season 2, episode 6, 3rd and 20 Dynasty Podcast in the books. Our first stream on YouTube. If you're on YouTube watching us, we do go live and streaming normally Tuesday nights. And then Frank and Steve will go live with the normal podcast on Wednesday nights. And
by the way, with those streams in the chat, feel free to throw questions. I usually try to get to any questions that are brought in there.
Yeah, we were talking in chat. 3rd and 20 _ on Twitter. 3rd20.com. I'm putting up my Star Sims on there. Jake's talking about his prospects of the week. Lewis is talking about the trending up and trending down players of the week. I will say, me versus Fabiano, crushed Fabiano. Just
there we go.
Annihilation, boys. All right. That's it.